The change comes quietly, almost invisibly, just past 40. Yesterday, she was the woman making breakfast, packing the kids' lunches, planning the next family trip. And suddenly, you find her talking about abs, shopping for new clothes, and chatting with the young trainer at the gym. You stand there, stunned. What happened to my wife? But you're not alone. Millions of men watched the same story unfold. Wives they thought they knew, women they believed were steady and reliable, suddenly acting like teenagers again, only now with wrinkles on their faces. Everyone sees it, yet everyone pretends to be surprised, as if it wasn't written in their biology from the start. You thought after 15 years together, after raising children and building a home, the foundation was safe. But that was your illusion. Inside every woman's psychology, there is a time bomb. For some, it goes off at 35. For others, at 45. But it always goes off. This is not a maybe. This is an inevitability. The only question is, when it explodes, how much damage will it cause? Because the woman you married is not the same woman who crosses 40. It's not about maturity or wisdom. It's about her entire mind, her desires, her identity being rewritten. A woman's sense of self has long been tied to her beauty. At 30, she was content as a mother and wife. At 40, she becomes restless, hungry for validation. That hunger is what destroys the very home you thought was unshakable. It isn't her fault alone. Society programmed her this way since childhood. Your worth is your face, your desirability, your ability to be wanted. From 15 to 35, this programming works flawlessly. Men chase her. Compliments rain down. She feels valuable. And then, biology does what it always does. It takes back what it once gave. At 40, she looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize herself. She doesn't look bad, but she doesn't look like her. The face that once turned heads now struggles to hold anyone's gaze. The body that once made men foolish now earns only polite smiles. This is not vanity. This is an identity collapse. Her entire sense of self was built on being desired. Now, that desire is evaporating, like dew in the sun. Think of an athlete whose entire identity is their sport, only to have age slowly strip away their strength. They can still play, but never like before. Multiply that pain by 10. That is what your wife feels when she sees her beauty fading. And here lies the danger. Instead of accepting nature, modern women panic. They fight reality, and the first casualty in that war is often the marriage. At 22, compliments were just background noise. Yeah, I know I'm hot. But at 42, that same compliment explodes in her brain like dopamine fireworks. Proof she is still in the game. Proof she is not invisible. This is the hidden truth. Married women past 40 become the easiest targets, not because they are evil, but because they are starving for attention, for validation, for the feeling of being wanted again. Your attention doesn't count anymore. You're her husband, locked in, bound by marriage and children. But the stranger at the cafe who smiles, he shakes her entire world because his attention is chosen, not forced. Once she tastes that outside validation, the countdown begins. Not immediately, but slowly, inevitably, because it awakens the memory of being chased, desired, fantasized about, and no steady love can scratch that itch again. The danger zone in marriage begins the moment she remembers her past, not with shame, but with a secret smile. When old boyfriends are recalled not with disgust, but nostalgia. When stories of her single days return with a sparkle in her eyes, you can be sure the clock is ticking. Biology rewires her brain as she ages. The things that thrilled her at 25 barely whispered her at 45. What once made her heart race now feels like maintenance work. The romantic dinners, the planned trips, the intimacy you worked years to build, now just background noise. After 40, ordinary life no longer makes her feel alive. She craves extremes. And you're safe, predictable, invisible. That's why the most dangerous betrayals happen after 35. Not out of malice, but out of desperation. Desperation to feel alive, to matter again, to be more than someone's aging wife. At 20, hand-holding was enough. At 40, she wants an emotional earthquake. A loyal wife of 15 years can suddenly take steps so cruel you couldn't have imagined them. A church-going woman falls for her husband's best friend. A picture-perfect wife burns her life down online for a stranger she's never even met. And every husband says the same words. I had no idea. But the signs were always there. You just didn't see them. It begins with nostalgia. Then comes the circle of new friends, often divorced women who become dealers of discontent, whispering that she deserves better. Social media pours gasoline on the fire. Curated lives, transformation stories, women starting over at 40. Every scroll confirms her fear that time is slipping away.